Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call, particularly those of you calling in for the first time and those that will be listening to the replay over the next 24 to 48 hours. I don't have a lot of information today, but what information I have I think is pretty good. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First, again, for our newer callers, this is going to be a shorter call, so I strongly suggest after listening to this shorter call, you go to our call of October 26th, because that call has the detailed explanation of the turnkey program we've put in place to assist those of you that are dinarians and holders of other pre-valued currencies as well. One of the reasons this is a shorter call is because we're just being blown up with trusts for requests and service calls, and we've got to, provide for those concerns. And the second, it's going to be a short week for me. I'm going up to the D.C. area for a number of reasons. I'm originally from the area. I have family there. But given the situation in Iraq, the situation in our country right now, and the fact that we're on the eve of the election, there are some people in D.C. that I want to have face-to-face meetings with, because I want to make sure that the information that I'm going to be providing from here on is going to be accurate, particularly after the midterms. And I don't want to get into the weeds politically, but there are some things going on that I do think are of concern, and I want to get information from people that I believe can give me the real skinny on all of that. So we're going to go ahead and get into this call. First, by way of disclaimer, Trusts Unlimited is not the purveyor of the dinar and the other pre-valued currencies. We're not advocating either the sale or purchase of those currencies, but as rather substantial currency holders ourselves, we're sharing with you the information we believe to be relevant. Of course, the most important piece of information would be the potential window for the reinstitution of the dinar in country. I still continue to believe that it could actually happen at any time. I'm going to get into how I think that could occur. But let's get into what's happened in Iraq since our last call. It's been very eventful. Of course, we have the new Sudani government that's finally been seated. They've also presented themselves to the Congress for a vote of confidence. So it's been a long year, but we finally have a government in place. It's not the people that I would have chosen, but it's a close second. Al-Sudani is a moderate Shia. He is, I'll call him Kazemi light. And given the fact that the vast majority of Iraqi are in fact Shia, it's not surprising that the government would be occupied by Shia, but the moderate Shias have won the day, and that's very important. Now, Sudani has had a number of high-level meetings which suggest that he's moving forward with a number of things, inclusive of monetary reforms. He's met with the governor of the CBI, and he has confirmed he has acknowledged, rather, that the CBI can operate independently. Now, of course, there are voices out there saying that they have no intention of changing the exchange rate. Now, there's a hair-splitting thing. Are they talking about changing the rate of the dollar against the dinar, or changing the rate of the dinar against the dollar? But basically, this is exactly what happened in Kuwait. The day before the Kuwaiti dinar reinstituted, the CBI in Kuwait said that it would probably take about a year. I think the reason they do that is because they do not want to give a date or a rate to speculators, and that's understandable. Sudani also met with Buna. Now, Buna is the cross-border payment system for the Arab nations. As a matter of fact, it's owned by the Arab Monetary Fund, and there are 22 members at present. Also, Soudani met with the Arab Monetary Fund as well, which, of course, is in charge of the balance of payments among its 22 Arab members. Now, this is important because any discussions of trade with Arab nations, with the EU, with countries in the Far East, with the BRICS nations, any of that strongly suggests they have to reinstitute their currency. Now, it's true that the government of Iraq has the largest USD and reserve currencies it's ever had, approaching $100 billion. But it costs nearly $70 billion to run their country over a 12-month period. So that does not leave a lot of reserve currency to fund the balance of payments for international trade. So the only way that they can proceed with the trade and banking agreements it's made, again, with Arab nations, with EU nations, and even nations in the Far East, is to have their own currency. In addition, the U.S. dollar, while it's strong right now, the clear intent is to weaken the dollar internationally. People are moving to purchasing oil from Russia. They need to use the ruble in order to do that. China is purchasing oil now from Russia using the ruble. And so the dollar, while strong right now internationally, is going to be losing power. And, of course, as long as we keep printing money the way we are, it dilutes the value of the dollar both domestically as well as internationally. So for all of these reasons, it makes no sense for Iraq to operate under using its reserve currency because it's just not sufficient to do all of the things that they need to do. Now, one potential black cloud in all of this has been the reemergence of Maliki and the coalition framework. Now, fortunately, the coalition framework is a large tent occupied primarily by more conservative or not conservative, I guess the best word would be moderate, pro-Iraqi pro-Iraqi officials, so that's important as well. Now, we do know that Maliki is a corrupt pro-Iranian Shia. We also know that as prime minister, he was source of a lot of the problems that Iraq had faced since the removal of Saddam Hussein in 2003. But now he occupies the position of vice president, which has little or no real power. The advantage to making him a vice president is it provides him the one thing that he demands, and that is immunity from prosecution as an elected or appointed official. Now, a lot of people say, well, Soudani was the Minister of Human Rights under Maliki, which is true, but there is no love lost between Soudani and Maliki, and it's thus far, Soudani looks like he's operating straight up. But the one silver thread in this black cloud is the fact that, for his own selfish reasons, Maliki does want to see the reinstitution and revaluation of the dinar, primarily to enrich himself. So that's a good thing for Iraq, even though he doesn't care as much about Iraq as he does about enriching himself and enjoying immunity from prosecution. So he's, in my view, been neutralized. So we're moving in the right direction. We've got, if not the optimal new government, we have a functional new government moving in the right direction. We have a CBI that's moving in the right direction. All of the international bodies that matter, the United States Treasury, the EU, the United Nations, World Trade Organization, the IMF, and even the Bank of International Settlements are all voicing their the pleasure at the progress in Iraq and quote-unquote look forward to doing business with them, which again cannot happen until the country has an international currency. So that's why I say this could happen at any time. Now, let me qualify that statement. I'm not saying we're going to wake up tomorrow morning and see the Iraqi dinar at $5 or $4 or even $3. What I think is going to happen is that they're going to transition. They're going to do this incrementally So they're going to go from $4.50 back to $11.90. After a while, they'll go to probably something like 85 cents, something just under the value of the dollar, then move to equal one-on-one with the dollar or a slight premium over the dollar. By going to a slight premium over the dollar, that will flush all of the dollars out of the Iraqi citizens, and they'll transition to their own currency in country. And then, of course, it will revalue. I think conservatively at $3. I think potentially as high as $5. The estimates right now, I think, are at $4.85. So that's what we're looking at. Now, that could take 90 days to go from the point of going from $4.50 to $11.90 to $3 to $5. But as soon as we see the glide path moving in that direction, we know it's only a matter of time. So that's where we are today. I do want to touch on one other thing. Recently, I've been discussing the fact that Trust Unlimited has been marketing this trust for Dinarians for all of the reasons we discuss each week for over a decade. But given the political and economic situation in this country right now, our Family Asset Protection Trust package is going to be an indispensable tool to protecting yourself from what's going on in this country. And I'm going to walk through the things that we discussed with regard to this trust protecting the Dinarians and explain to you why it's going to protect you as an American citizen. First issue was the issue of privacy. Now we're creating a surveillance state. We have found out that the federal government has been surveilling American citizens for some time. They've been lying to us about this. But remember, when you establish this trust, that means the things that you own within that trust operate differently. Aside from the fact that you will be operating with an EIN number, which is not associated with you, there are protections under the trust which the government cannot ignore. Second, with regard to taxes, there are certain tax advantages to owning tangible assets within the irrevocable trust package such as ours. Now, we know that the federal government's job right now is to destroy the middle class, and they do that through the pressure. They squeeze us between inflation and high taxes. This is why they're printing money. It devalues the dollar, which is in essence what inflation is. They've just passed a law to hire 87,000 new IRS agents. Now, they say it's to monitor, to make sure that the billionaires pay their fair share. Well, there are approximately 750 billionaires in the United States or that are American citizens. You hardly need 87,000 agents to monitor 750 individuals. Therefore, these agents are here for an entirely different reason. And that reason is to continue to harass American law-abiding, tax-paying citizens, burden them with audits, all of these types of things. Then there's the gifting issue. We've established a gifting subtrust in our package for individuals that wish to give currencies to individuals prior to the revaluation and control the post-RV lump sum. But the gifting package works very well for an ordinary American citizen who, after this revaluation or who happens to possess an amount of wealth, can gift things to individuals under a life estate arrangement. In other words, you can have friends or family members or other individuals. You can provide for them, for example, a home to live in, but the home is owned by the trust and it remains in your control at all times, meaning you can revoke a gift, or when the individuals move or pass away, the gift remains in trust. You can then do whatever you wish with it. Also, this trust has been designed for all citizens in that it will allow you to exempt yourself from the cost and delay of probate and the federal estate tax. Now, it's important where the federal estate tax is concerned. Now, this is a tax that's assessed to the estate in order to transfer it to heirs. Beyond $10 or $12 million in the value of your estate, anything above that can be taxed as much as 65%, a wholly confiscatory tax. And that can be avoided by placing your wealth within this trust package. And lastly, the asset protection that's afforded to you if you're a wealthy individual or after the revaluation of these currencies, you become wealthy. This trust will protect you from future bad acts whether intentional or not, after the revaluation of these currencies. So for all of these reasons, whether you're a Dinarian or not, you should establish this family asset protection trust package to protect yourself from an intrusive, high surveillance, high tax government with a high inflationary monetary policy and open borders. If the things we've discussed here today are of concern to you, whether you're a Dinarian or not, I strongly suggest you contact us to get our initial no obligation package. Again, I would suggest you go to our call of October 26th. But if you will contact us to get our initial package, you can review it. It has a lot of information about us, about the trust, about the revaluation, about your rights as a citizen and how those rights are protected in trust. You can contact us if you have any questions. We'll be happy to assist you. There will be, of course, no consultation fee. The package does contain everything you need if you wish to proceed to establish your trust package. You can go to our website, which is trusts with an S, unlimited, LLC.com. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimited, LLC at gmail.com, or you can contact us by phone. Our phone service is 307-274-4122. Contact us. We'll be happy to send you our initial package. You can review it, proceed if you wish. If you have questions, you can contact us. We'll be happy to assist you. Again, there will be no consultation fee. Our next call will be scheduled, of course, for next Wednesday. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. That might be problematic if I happen to be in D.C. I shouldn't be there too long. I plan to be there 2 or 3 days at the most. If necessary, I'll just hop in the car and get right back to the office if we need to have an emergency conference call. But failing that, we'll be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks so much for listening, everyone, and have a great week. Bye-bye.